All right, well, thank you for joining us in optimizing your LinkedIn profile with the Tri-Valley Career Center. My name is Christy Vanderhoop, and I'm a career advisor at the Tri-Valley Career Center, and I will be walking you through different aspects of LinkedIn, and we will be switching back and forth between this presentation and then LinkedIn itself. So first of all, why is LinkedIn important? They have a ton of members worldwide, and for many recruiters, LinkedIn is a primary strategy that they use to find people. So they will they log into LinkedIn in order to find job seekers for a particular position. And over 50% of recruiters only use LinkedIn to find people. So you're not going to get access to as many recruiters if you don't have a LinkedIn profile. And as we know, 75 to 85% of jobs are found through networking. So, having a LinkedIn profile, you can also network with people. And so that will also increase your chances of finding a job through LinkedIn. So, another reason why LinkedIn is good and why it's good to have a comprehensive LinkedIn profile is that having a comprehensive profile actually led to a 71% increase in interview callback rate. So many recruiters, when they see your resume or your application, they will also look you up on LinkedIn and find you. So being able to find you on LinkedIn increases your chances of getting called for an interview. Having a profile on LinkedIn that doesn't have a lot of information about you can actually decrease your chances of being called for an interview. So now we understand why LinkedIn is important. So let's talk about resumes versus LinkedIn. So how are they the same? How are they different? So usually people work on their resume first, and then they work on their LinkedIn profile, because the resume has that same sort of factual flow of different jobs you've held, different projects you've worked on. They both have a summary. They both focus on the value or the accomplishments that you made with previous employers. And then they both use a lot of keywords that are relevant to your industry. And the differences are resumes, you'll tailor your resume to different jobs. So you'll have multiple resumes, whereas you only have one LinkedIn profile. And your resume almost never uses the word I because it's more formal. Whereas a LinkedIn profile, you can use I, you can talk a little less formally about yourself. LinkedIn profiles are always also longer, and you can include links to media, like if you have a portfolio or a website or a project or a YouTube video that you created that you want to link people to. And your LinkedIn profile is also dynamic. So I'll show you how the links work in there. And then another major difference is that on LinkedIn, you have a photograph, but you don't have a photograph on a resume ever. So those are some other things. And we'll talk about things to consider for the photograph in LinkedIn. So if you're just getting started, you'll go to linkedin.com and you'll fill out this information and start your profile. And you'll have a place to add your picture. You'll be able to add sections of your profile by clicking on the plus sign here. And depending on if you've added all the relevant sections, then LinkedIn will let you know how strong your profile is. So once you get to the star, that means they call you an AllStar, and that means that you've filled out all the different sections of the LinkedIn profile. And whenever you want to edit something within a section, you just click on this little pencil icon in order to edit. So in order to build your profile, these are the main sections that you want to have in order to become an all-star, and they will also make your profile more likely to be found. So if an employer, say they're looking for someone in marketing, and you have marketing on your profile, then they're more likely to find you if you have all of these sections in your profile. So we're going to talk about each one. And so this is kind of how, these are the main sections of the profile. So I'm going to go to LinkedIn now and show you my own profile and how you can edit some things. So I'm going to go here to my profile. Okay, and then you can see that it's possible to edit things on your profile. So one thing you'll want to do is edit your public profile and URL. LinkedIn automatically gives you kind of a messy URL with your name and some random letters and numbers. And so by clicking on that link, you can then click on this little pencil icon and you can edit the back half of your URL so that it looks cleaner. And then you can take this whole URL and put it on your resume so that recruiters can find you and look you up. You can also decide if you're in the process of editing your LinkedIn profile right now and you don't want anyone to see it, you can just turn off this button right here so that no one can see your profile. And then when it comes to deciding who you want to see your profile photo, I recommend that you let all LinkedIn members see your profile photo. Just because when recruiters see a photo, it makes you a little more personal. I'll show you some statistics on that. But if you're not comfortable, you could also only let people in your network or only your first degree connections see your photo. Your first degree connections are kind of like the equivalent of your friends on Facebook. So these are people that you have added as connections on LinkedIn. So those are some things that you can edit, and you can also decide if you want all sections of your profile to be visible or not. And then, so those are a little bit of the features. And then, like I said, you can edit anything by clicking on the edit button here. And then you can change your headline. So we'll talk about how to change the headline here. And you can also decide you can choose one of your schools that you want to pop up at the top of your profile. So those are some things that you can do there. Okay, so then, so that's a little bit of sort of an intro. And you can include as much contact information as you want. Maybe, I know some people don't want to include their phone number unless they have a business. If you have a business and you have a business phone number and a business website, then I would definitely recommend including those on LinkedIn, as well as your business email. If you don't have a business and you're like a regular job seeker, then I would say maybe just include your email, but not your phone number if you don't want people calling you. So the contact information section you can find for anyone by clicking down here. And then you can see that you can edit that and you can add additional things if you want or take things off. So you can add a website, things like that. Okay. So you can see Amanda Jerry, she has a consulting group, Pathways Consulting. And so she has the website of her group and email address of her group. And these little green circles let you know that someone is online, so that if you want to message them directly, they're either online on their computer or online on their mobile app on their phone. Okay, so now we'll talk about the headshot. So the headshot, it makes you approachable to people. It makes people know you're a real person. It's your chance to make a good first impression on somebody. And the reason why you might want to have your profile photo viewable is you're 7 to 10 times more likely to be viewed when you do have a photo associated with your profile. So recruiters are more likely to look at your profile when you have a photo because they can see that a real person is connected to the profile. So you want to get a professional looking headshot. It doesn't need to be professionally done, like you don't need to pay a lot of money for it, but you do want to make sure that there are no other people in the photo, that there are no pets or props, that you have a photo that does look like you. Generally, the frame you'll want to have your face and maybe a bit of your shoulders. It's just kind of like you see right now with me here on the screen. It's good to smile in your photo, but if you can also think about like what's best for your audience. You want to dress appropriately for your industry. So if you're a biologist, then it's totally fine for you to be wearing like a Columbia jacket or something, right? Because you'll be out in the field. If you're a banker, you're going to have on a suit and tie probably. So just kind of depends on your industry. And when you do have a background, you want to make sure it's not distracting, no obvious selfies. And then the best angle of you is often from above. So you can have someone stand a little bit higher than you and take a picture of you. And my very first LinkedIn profile photo was just a picture of me wearing a nice sweater, and I was against a wall, and my coworker took the picture with my phone. So that's just to give you an idea. You don't have to have an expensive headshot. But here you can see some examples of kind of before and after headshots. So you can see like in this, the lighting is not so flattering. In this one, his shirt's not buttoned up all the way. His hair, he kind of looks like he's going to a party versus wearing like nicer clothing. For him, his hair is better combed. He's also wearing something more formal. For her, the problem is she looks like she's having a great time. But she's wearing she's wearing a hat that seems out of place. We can see somebody else's hand in the photo. So you can see that this looks much more professional. So you can see that the types of photos you use on LinkedIn are different from the types of photos that you might use on other social media. Like on Facebook, you would totally see a grandma with their baby as their profile photo, or a guy with his car as their profile photo. But on LinkedIn, you don't want that. And you can see that sometimes people are too far away or too close, or you can't really see them. So those are some things that you want to avoid in your photos. If you're feeling brave, photofeeler.com is a website where you can upload a photo and have people that you don't know anonymously review your photo and tell you how they perceive you. And so I've never tried it, but something you could do. Okay, the next kind of photo that you have in your profile is your cover image. So that's this photo of the mountains behind me. And this is a way to get people to remember you or draw attention to your profile. So I kind of chose the mountains because I'm helping people find jobs and thinking of like overcoming barriers or setting goals or things like that. This is just a photo that I took when I was on vacation in Washington. So you could just use a photo like that. You could also do things where you show you some other samples, like you can create your own background. For example, she has a saying that goes because she's in marketing. He's in software coding, so he used code to write something. He has a landscape, but also the logo for his company. So those are just to give you some other ideas of things that you can do. And you can also go to this website called Canva, and you can get templates for the cover photo. So you can just go to Canva and create a free account, and then say that you're looking for a LinkedIn banner. And they'll give you sample LinkedIn banners that you can then edit and upload for your cover photo. And they'll automatically size it for you. But if you're sizing your own picture, you'll need to resize it and make sure that it's about this ratio and that it meets these specifications. So I had to do that with my photo here to make sure that it fit into LinkedIn. Okay, so that's your cover image. The next thing that really shows your first impression on LinkedIn is your headline. So my headline here is Compassionate Career Guidance, Career Advisor, Global Career Development Facilitator, Community College Professor, and Spanish Speaker. So I chose to use a tagline and then to add some different keywords and titles that would let people know what I do. So this is your headline. Your default headline will always be what your current job is. So for example, her default headline is High School Pathway Liaison at Tri-Valley ROP, because that's her current position. But as you can see, like, you can edit your headline. And so that's what I did. I edited it so that it doesn't just have my current position listed. And this is your chance to choose keywords that you could use in order to help somebody find you. So like, that's why, so I chose career advisor. I could put in career coach if I wanted, so people could find me. I put in a certification I have that's common in my field of workforce development. So I put career guidance. So you think about what are common keywords for your industry, and that's what you put in your headline. And then this helps recruiters and other people to find you when they're looking for someone with your expertise. And one thing I do recommend avoiding in the headline is something like seeking new opportunities, because it doesn't really tell people what you do. For example, like, I probably wouldn't recommend a headline like what she has: committed to learning, always striving for excellence. While those are great qualities, I have no idea what her career is or what kind of job she's looking for. And so that's a little too vague. So you want your headline to be more specific. Yeah, and then you can have up to 120 characters for your headline. And if you want to see more examples, this is a good website to go to. All right, and this is another example of a headline, and you can see how the headline went from the default, which was just her current job, owner of Vision Board Media, to a more clear and specific headline that tells us what she actually does. And I know it's kind of blurry, so I'll read it for you. It says, writer of powerful LinkedIn profiles, author, speaker, LinkedIn evangelist, and brand strategist. All right, so that's the headline. And then next, we're going to talk about the summary. So the summary is down here where it says about. This is where you can write a summary of yourself. And this summary can be a lot longer than what you would normally have on a resume. So what you would normally have on a resume would just be like this long, about 3 lines. But the profile on the LinkedIn profile, it can be much longer. It can be several paragraphs. And I'm going to show you some other samples. So again, this is a place where you can add a lot of keywords from job descriptions. So one thing I recommend is go and look at 10 different job descriptions that for the type of job that you're looking to apply for. And write down the most common keywords that you see on those job descriptions. So just start making a list of keywords that you see repeatedly on the descriptions. And then find a way to incorporate those keywords into your summary. And when you're writing your summary, you're really wanting to include keywords for your next job. So if you're doing a career change, if you include too many keywords from your previous job, you're going to get recruiters contacting you for jobs related to your previous job and not jobs related to what you actually want to do. So that's why keywords are important. And like I said, you can use I, me, my, you can talk about yourself, you can tell your story, you can show your personality a little bit in this section. And if you want, you can even include contact info. So these links have some really nice examples. So you can take a look at these. You can see some samples of different people in different areas. So show how, he's kind of telling his story and then talking about what he does. She is telling, she kind of has a catchy phrase. She says, I love selling brands. I hate selling myself. And then she lists some interesting facts about herself. So there's a lot of cool samples in here. These are some other ones. And one thing to keep in mind with the summary is you want to focus on the first 2 or 3 sentences, because as you saw, this part that's highlighted here is the first thing that everybody reads, and they only get to read the rest if they click more to read the rest of the summary. So you really want to try to grab people's attention with your first 2 to 3 sentences. And so people do that in different ways. He does it by having a catchy phrase. No one is good at everything. She does it by telling a little anecdote from her childhood and then relating that to what she does now. And then she also includes a list of keywords at the bottom showing what her specialties are. She also includes her email address and some numbers to show some of her accomplishments. She uses subheadings. So she gives headings with different examples of her work. Also kind of starts out with a personal and catchy phrase. She starts off by giving an accomplishment that she's responsible for over 80 partners. And then she actually includes her resume. So these are some different ways to do it. Oh, and you can see in this one, she lists her skills in a bulleted list like this. So that's another way to do it. So these are just some different options for the LinkedIn profile. And I recommend writing your LinkedIn profile in a Word document or Google Doc where you can easily edit it and make changes to it without showing all of your contacts or connections every time you make a change. So you can play with it more. Once again, remember that you have up to 2,000 characters, so you can use the word count feature in Microsoft Word or Google to count the words in your profile, in your about or your summary to make sure you're not going over, and then you can just paste all of that into your LinkedIn profile once you're done with it. Okay, so the next section is experience. And it's good to have at least 3 professional jobs on your LinkedIn profile. And you'll want to focus on sharing quantifiable accomplishment statements. So use numbers whenever you can. Don't just repeat your resume, but you should include the same information. Use keywords in this section as well. And then you can also add other media, not necessarily to the experience section, but there's a section in the resume called featured, or in the profile called featured. So if you go here, featured is right below the about section. And this is where you can upload certifications or badges or videos, a link to your portfolio, your website. So you can add these by clicking on the plus sign. So you can, if you want to add a link to a profile, you could do that, or you can click add media, and then you can add photos or things like that. And then let's see, what's that? And then you can also edit a bit as well. So if you want to edit what's in one of your featured things, you can do that here. So if you recently got a certificate, I would recommend taking a photo or making a PDF of it and uploading it to the featured section. This is just something that shows what you've recently posted. And so that's not something that you edit in the profile, but whenever you make posts on the homepage, they show up here. And then this is the experience section. So in the experience section, that's where you put your work history that you have on your resume. If you want, you can copy some of the bullets from your resume, but just keep in mind that, again, people only see the first couple lines. And so you'll want to sort of grab their attention with that so that then they'll see more and then they'll read more of what you did or you do at that job. And when you are editing, you'll want to try to get these icons here into your experience section, because that way this is the dynamic part of LinkedIn. So that way people can click on this icon and then be taken directly to the homepage of your employer. And then so they can connect with your employer that way as well. And so that's just a little bit about the experience section. And some recruiters recommend that you don't go back more than 15 years on your resume, but there's definitely exceptions if you feel like your older work experience shows skills that you want to use in your current job, or if you've been out of the workforce for a while and so the experience from the past is really relevant to what you want to do next. So there are exceptions, but you just want to make sure it's consistent. So if you chose not to include jobs that are more than 15 years old on your resume, then just do the same thing on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so that's a little bit about the experience section. And now we'll talk about education. So just like the experience section, in the education section, you will also want to try to get these specific icons that can then link you to the school. So when you add education, you just click the plus sign, and then you'll put in the school name. So let's just try what they said, Boston University. And then you can see we get a specific icon if we put in Boston University. So that's what we want. Put in your degree, field of study. If your degree is not more than 10 years old, you can put in the dates. My degrees are now more than 10 years old, so I've removed the dates. And then you can, if you had a minor, you could add that here in the description. If you're involved in any extracurricular activities that would show your leadership experience, you could include those, especially if you're a recent graduate. And then you can also add any media to show your activities or things like that from that school. And as you can see, once you have those schools there, then you can click on the icons and go directly to the school page. And then the pretty cool thing is that you can then click on alumni and you can search for alumni using the dates of attendance and put your major in or something like that. You can find people that you went to school with that way. And so, yeah, that's the education section. And I recommend putting all of your education because of that alumni feature. You know, you can connect with people that you went to school with on LinkedIn. Skills. So the skills section is next. In the skills section, what you do is you add, this is another place where you can think about keywords. So you're going to add skills that are relevant to the job that you want. So again, you don't want to have too many skills that are not related to the job you want, because then you might get messaged for jobs that you don't want. So to add a skill, you just click on the plus sign. And then LinkedIn will recommend some skills based on your profile. But then you can also add your own skill by clicking add another skill and then just typing it in here. And then you click save. And then you can edit your skills by clicking on this pencil sign here. And you can move skills by, I think it's by here. You can click on the three dots and then click reorder. So if you want a skill to pop up higher, you can move it with using these things here. So, and I think automatically LinkedIn moves your skills with the most endorsements to the top. So I think for a while, let's see, some of my skills, I think curriculum design is, I have 7 endorsements for that instead of 6 for career counseling. So I had to manually move career counseling up to the top because it was automatically making these 3 my top skills, probably because I was an English professor for many years. And so I've been a teacher for a long time. So you can adjust them like you want. And the endorsements, you can also decide, you can also edit your endorsements. So I think if we go back to this button, like I can edit this skill. And so I can decide if I want to, you know, keep these endorsements or not. I can turn them off if I want as well. So just depends. I can also delete a skill. But these endorsements are basically people I've worked with or studied with who have endorsed me for these skills. So it's kind of a way to show the public that I do actually have this skill. And then you can do the same thing for other people. As you connect with people on LinkedIn, you can endorse them for skills. And you can also reach out to friends that you're connected with on LinkedIn and say like, hey, I endorsed you for this. Would you endorse me for that? So you can do an exchange of endorsements. And so that just gives you a little more credibility. Another thing that can improve your credibility for your skills is by doing skills assessments. So LinkedIn has a feature of skill quizzes. So if you click on take skill quiz, you can then take a quiz on a skill like Microsoft Excel. And then if you get in the top 30%, you earn a skill badge. And that goes on your profile. So that's the skill section. Really helps you to get a lot more visibility. Let's see. On LinkedIn. Another thing you can do is include a volunteering section. I don't have one on my profile right now, but it's a section that I could add. So if I go up here to the top of my profile, let's see. Actually, I'm kind of forgetting how to add the section. I'll have to go back to that. What I did with mine was my volunteer work is actually really relevant to my work experience. And so I didn't want it to go to the bottom of my profile. So I actually put it into my professional experience section here. So that's something that you can do. But if you have a volunteer work section, for example, he has a volunteer work section in his profile. You can scroll down. You can see how he added his certificates to the featured section. And then you can see he has a volunteer work section where he puts in different places where he has volunteered and, you know, descriptions and any titles that he held. So that's always a good thing to include. As you can see in this statistic, 1 in 5 managers hired someone because of their volunteer experience. So volunteer experience is good to include. If you volunteered with a religious or political organization, just kind of consider how that organization is perceived, if it will affect your job search at all, and if the volunteer experience is relevant to the type of work you'll be applying for. If you don't want to reveal the name of the organization, you could just say it was a nonprofit and you don't have to add a lot of information. Okay, we just talked about skills. As you can see, having skills on your profile improves your profile views. You can list up to 50 and you want to have at least 5. And we already kind of saw this. There's also an awards and recognition section. So go back to my profile here. And show you down here, I think it's the very bottom. So there's these additional sections. So publications, courses, honors and awards, languages. So these are additional sections that you can add and that you can put into your profile. These aren't required, but they're just things that you can include that if you think they're relevant to your job search. And then there's also a recommendation section. So this is where people can recommend you. I would recommend that you ask previous coworkers or supervisors or teachers or mentors to write recommendations for you. And then you can also write them for them. So like I exchange recommendations with Sarah Holtzclaw, my former manager. So those are some things that you can do on LinkedIn. And this is another thing that shows your credibility to people on LinkedIn. Okay, And you can also join groups on LinkedIn. So the groups that you join will pop up in your profile. Let's see, they're usually in the interests section. If you click on groups, you can see the types of groups someone belongs to. I found some of these groups by just looking at the types of groups that other people in my field were part of. So I noticed that other people in my field were part of the California Career Development Association and the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals. And so then I just joined those groups, right? And then by being part of these groups, I then can get access to anything that people are sharing in the groups. So it could be content, it could be workshops or conferences, or just also jobs that they're posting. So yeah, those are some things that are beneficial to joining groups. And the cool thing about groups is you can also message anyone in a group. So like, let's say I wanted to ask Larissa about this job, then normally if I go to her profile, I'm not able to message her because we're not connected, right? So I'm blocked from messaging her because we're not connected, and because yeah, so what I can do is I can go here in the group, and let's see, her name was Larissa Bates. So I can go to see everyone who's in the group. I can put in her name, Larissa Bates. There she is. Now I can directly message her through the group. So I can do that even though I don't have LinkedIn Premium. So those are some benefits of joining groups. And you'll just want to, once you have your profile up, you'll want to keep adding people, keep engage in conversation. So when you sign in, you know, you'll be here at the home page. You can see what people are posting. You can congratulate people on those things. You know, if I want, I can write a comment. It's always good to write a comment on something. That always personalizes it a little bit more. And then that's something you want to do, and you'll want to log into LinkedIn like every people recommend every day, just for about 10 minutes, so that you're active, and then recruiters can see that you're active, and then it's easier for them to find you. And I go over a lot more LinkedIn engagement strategies and tips, and I talk about job search on LinkedIn in my other workshop, which is called Leveraging LinkedIn. And I'll be offering that next week. So I encourage you to attend. And let's see, we talked about recommendations. So yeah, just some reminders. You'll want to fill out all the sections of your LinkedIn profile to become an AllStar and have recruiters find you more easily. You'll want to be well connected to people. You'll want to choose appropriate skills related to the job you want and get endorsements for those. You'll want to include your current location, or if you're planning to move, your target location. Find the best keywords that fit what you're looking for and incorporate them into your profile. Be consistently active on LinkedIn. Like I was saying, just 10 minutes a day is good. Definitely watch out for typos and be kind and friendly towards people on the platform. You can share your LinkedIn URL on your resume, and then just keep your profile up to date. You know, keep adding things as you complete new certifications or achieve new things at your job or start a new job. Just keep updating your profile, just like you keep updating your resume. And then this can just give you an example of what a recruiter might see when they're looking you up on LinkedIn. So they see your name, and your headline and your photo, and then your experience and education. So he's just giving you some other ideas of what to focus on and what to really make sure, what sections you really want to make sure you have in your profile. If you do choose to pay for premium, these are the additional services you can get access to. It's easier for you to directly message people. You can also take all their LinkedIn learning courses. So some people choose to get premium in order to access these features. And we talked about the 500 number. So when you get up to 500 people on your profile, then what happens is that they stop saying the number of connections you have. So like I think I just got to 500 recently. It took me a while, but now it just says 500 plus connections and it doesn't say how many I have. And it's also great to follow influencers. And so let's see, I'm gonna skip through some of this because we talk about this in the other LinkedIn workshop. But these are some experts who you can follow. And I follow Austin, Sarah, Hannah, and Oscar to get their content on job search and everything. And yeah, if you want additional help with your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn has a blog. There's some frequently asked questions about LinkedIn. I don't really recommend books about LinkedIn because they're probably obsolete by the time they get published, but there are some helpful information. And as I mentioned, we have a second workshop called Leveraging LinkedIn that talks more about that. And we also offer one-on-one LinkedIn profile reviews as well. So that is everything. Thank you for joining me. And I'll stop the recording so I can ask questions.